Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's episode. I would like to speak about an idea where it was actually something I noticed, something that I felt it was important to bring into attention. That when you look at the word inspiration, it kind of makes you wonder what is inspiring the moment? Where is the value of the moment going? And so I thought about the infusion of the idea of something that is done or something that is in the spirit or comes from an inner source, and actually what the term inspiration means. Inspiration, its definition, guys. That means imagine you wanted to be inspired, but you had no idea what inspiration. It's a noun. The process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something, especially to do something creative. The quality of being inspired, especially when evident in something. A person or thing that inspires. A sudden, brilliant, creative, or timely idea. The divine influence believed to have led to the writing of the Bible. The drawing in of the breath. An act of breathing in and an inhalation. Okay, I didn't know that. Inspiration means inhalation. Who knew? Sorry, guys. There's something I'm going to handle here on this end. Alright. Pretty much, the word inspiration, I find it's instantaneous. And many things can inspire a person, but there's on some level, there is a world that the person cannot run away from, even if they wanted to, and that is their nature. What does that mean? That means inspiration is a momentary idea. The concept of something being in the spirit transcends the concept of time. So I would say, if you're in a simulation, and in an instant the simulation changes for you, that's inspiration. Inspiration is the expansion of the eyes. It is the journey of whatever that is present now. I feel that we're antennas. Okay. Alright, guys, I'm a bit nasally. There might be interruptions in the middle, but hang in through if you want to hear what the talk's about. Pretty much, I don't know. Life is your eyes open, you see the world, and events take shape. It's kind of like living a day on this planet is kind of like sculpting your tomorrow. And I don't know. Sometimes in my own life, inspiration has come after a failure. It has usually come after I get comfortable with the sort of it's like it's kind of strange. It's like there's a phase in my, at least in my own experience of my karma, it has kind of been like there's something that you like imagine as if the person wants something, the person attempts to get it, he's attempting selfishly to get it, he doesn't get it, then he lets go of the whole idea of wanting to get it, he becomes selfless, and instantly he suddenly gets the thing. That's the way my inspiration, I've kind of found it to work. Not that it has to become more of a complex process, but rather it's a piloting between how far I am seeing the idea. For example, when I look at the inspiration of this whole YouTube channel, its inspiration wasn't direct. It was like a bunch of indirect things were happening in my life, and I suddenly saw an image, a potential of it. So that's the interesting thing in life, that the mind is endlessly generating potentials of it, and as we act, we kind of get a feedback of how it happens. I feel there are different phases of psychological entity. I mean, if we take in this idea that the child, when it's young, it doesn't have the strength to carry something heavy. But when it gets older, it suddenly has the strength. And when it's younger, it doesn't have the strength. When it gets older, it has the strength. And sometimes when I look at the dimensions of my life, how I see things, and it's kind of been like that, where certain things I couldn't touch or I couldn't move or I couldn't see in a certain way, then throughout the years, just the nature of experience plowing through, you kind of get acquainted with it. What it is I think the mind is living multiple lives. But these multiple lives are not the fragmentation of the psyche. It's just like the same way we look at an atom and we see it's made from smaller parts. It's like the person looks at their identity, and when you look at an emotion, it's like a coagulation of various tidbits of images from different memories. Or depending, maybe somebody just remembers something and they get angry. You know, it's kind of like our minds are like film projectors, but they don't project the film in front of our eyes. They project the film outside, behind our eyes. What does that mean? That means, like, I'll tell you an experience. I remember I was, this is years ago. Anyways, long story short, I was at this situation where I was like in London, Ontario. It was me, my brother, bunch of friends. We were in the line. We were fragment. We were segment. Like we were separated. You know. But anyways, we were all trying to go to the same club, and then a fight began. And actually, the fight began where I was. You know, and it began because I was there. And literally, there was this situation where it was like a bunch of, I was a bit intoxicated, the other person was intoxicated, and the other person, I realized, is putting on a show. Some people are violent not because they want to, it's because they're trying to maintain something, you know. I remember just the guy's nose flaring, and I had gone on, like, I had binge watched this martial art program and the whole thing. Like, what is it? There's this program on, it used to be on TV, now it's only found on YouTube, where they go and explore different martial arts. And the guy said something where when a person's nose flares in a fight, that literally means they're inhaling oxygen to do something intense. That means you can always tell before somebody does something intense. And so because I saw that, then I got into a conflict, with the guy, and I hit the guy first because I noticed he was about to literally, it was about to get violent. So I was like, all right, you know. But long story short, it wasn't worth it. It was foolishness, and I wish I knew what I knew now then. Then I would have kind of let it go easily. Anyways, the inspiration was conditional. That guy's inspiration was because he was in front of someone else. And that's the thing. We're not just being ourselves throughout the day, we're being a performance we're watching. And I feel that this self-judgment that people don't really know what the self is like. Where your eyes are not designed to look inside your body. They're designed to kind of look outside, right? So it's as if, like, some mysteries are designed to be mysteries. Inspiration is pretty much, we have become a creature that has speed and direction. It's velocity. And there was a time that my outer realms would define my inner realms. And then I was a very weak person, I remember. Anything anybody would say would just upset me because it would deviate from my inner realms. Like, it was silly. But then life kind of pushes you in certain experiences. Then you're like, oh, okay, okay. Sometimes I felt inspiration is like you gotta make certain moves, then levels of it unlock. But ultimately, I think it's just a stance. It's an inner stance, inspiration. It's not per se, it's like we're like antennas. We don't have to even endlessly think. This concept of thinking is destroyed, like the educational system. Poor children thinking their thoughts. Thoughts that are never objective. They're just attention. They're just points of attention. So much of life, what is constituting how something is being here, is instantaneous. That means the scientist doesn't need visible proof of visibility. Have you noticed that? What's visible is visible. Like right now, I'm seeing this cup. I don't need a proof. I don't even wonder about a proof that it's like, okay, I'm seeing the cup in front of me, but what's I need visible proof. Visible for visibility. I'm saying that after some point, the language reverse engineers into the void. All words, they go back after a point where they never existed. And really, language is a fragile thing. That means the fact that we've had philosophers on this planet means that there has been some people caring for the various angles that language gives us access to. Because really, you're an objective animal and you're a subjective unknown energy. Call it soul. call whatever you like, but there's an unknown component, right? So for me, just like when somebody wonders, when does excitement come? You know what I mean? Like when you think about passion, excitement, whether it's like, I don't know, the person's passionate about the world or they're passionate about somebody else, you know. Life is, it is direction oriented, and at first you want life to direct you, and then you realize it's a blessing to be able to direct it yourself. That means I think most people, when they feel life is too heavy to navigate individually, they want like a collective weight, you know. By the way, guys, I'm going to say something I just noticed. I thought about saying it today, but I kind of forgot earlier. I noticed so many people are repeat listening to these talks, like every time I'm giving a talk, and that's welcomed. I mean, everyone can listen, but my recommendation is that um, listen to your mind, and then if your own mind, I don't know how to say it. When I say listen to your mind, I mean that could be incredibly confusing. Um, Here's the thing. Imagine we're 8 billion creatures, okay? Now, how would you feel if 7 billion of these creatures, or let's say, yeah, let's say 7 billion of these creatures started to act like each other? But that means imagine half the population started acting like clones. They all believed the same thing, they all did the same thing, they all valued the same thing. It'd be weird, right? You know, so after some point, it's like innovation and something about your own life interesting you back into an attention towards it. Every person is growing. Think of it this way, and you are growing through not just objective conditions, but states of mind. That means how you feel about yourself before your sleep is kind of giving an instruction to your whole body. You know. I mean, I think when you live in this world long enough, I mean, everybody experiences days where they just want the day to end sooner. You know, I've I've had days where I've wanted the day never to end, and also some days I was like, okay, I can't wait to get into my bed. You know, regardless of all the work I had to do, I'm saying there was just like I don't know. The inspiration is towards contentment ultimately, but the thing is that so many things in life we don't know what their effects are. That means it's like one thing that inspires me to even give these talks. I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. You know, just to see what happens is like an opportunity. You know, language is like an Iron Man suit. The child opens its eyes and it thinks it is that Iron Man suit. So many people feel it is the validity of their inner realms, you know. And there's something that it took me a while to learn, but I think that was the biggest antenna boost to my intelligence. And you know what that was? To know when to let go. To know when to let go. It's an art. You know, so for some people, they're skilled in knowing exactly what to grab, but to know to let go is a rare art form, which means to forgive without a reason, just for the sake of your nature. There's this story. You know, I think most people have heard it, but um, I don't know, I'll tell you the story. It's two Zen monks, it's after lunch, they were eating in these wooden bowls, and they go to clean their wooden bowls by the river, and one of the friends, just starts doing. The other one sees there's a scorpion about to be pushed aside by a wave, and like a lost tourist, who made a turn in the wrong neighborhood, instantly, like the Zen monk saves this scorpion. But in the process of saving the scorpion, the person gets stung. You know, the friend is silently just stares at the guy who just got stung with the scorpion. It's like, yo, this guy just got stung with the scorpion in his mind. He's like, holy shit, that's intense. But then there's Zen monks, so they're trying to be chill about it. So the guy goes, and now the scorpion's fallen into the bowl, and the scorpion strangely can't get out of the bowl or something. So the guy goes to free the scorpion from the bowl now, and the scorpion stings him again, and his friend can't take it anymore. His friend's like, he's like, yo, his friend's like, my friend, how can you keep saving this scorpion when you know it is the nature of this being, of this scorpion, to sting? Why do you keep saving a scorpion that you know it's going to sting you? People can also see parallels to this in regards to how people are in relationships also. The Zen monk who has gotten stung twice by a scorpion is probably semi-conscious when saying this answer. The Zen monk says, because, my friend, it is my nature to save the scorpion. That's the thing. Do you see how the Zen monk did not rationalize, did not behave towards the scorpion in accordance to the scorpion's reality? The Zen monk treated the scorpion regardless of if it was evil or good, or if it was bad or whatever, or if it was conscious or unconscious, just treated it as just by its own nature. So think of it this way, that every person's DNA is causing their energetic expression to be this strange melody. And when you hear the melody, the songs of your own intelligence, then you realize after some point, I call this one of the most spectacular, enlightening experiences a human being can get on this earth. And this I think is the road to true knowledge. When you realize everything that you have held dear as an idea is on a rock in the middle of nowhere. That's where the independence that is its own inspiration is born. That means if you fear to look at the whole system, then I feel the pilot has forgotten its own eyes. So it's that nature, just like how that monk said, it's my nature to save the scorpion. You have to listen to your nature, and I'm not joking. You, as a human being, listen to your nurture. Listen to your nature. Let me tell you something fascinating. You know what you notice after you notice objects and subjects and even people in the moment? Do you know it's not interdimensional beings. It's not this weird esoteric imagery. That's for me, esotericism is they're being rude to the unknown. They don't realize it. That means it's an embarrassment to be a god in this dimension. So all those human beings trying to be as powerful as gods, literally higher, playfully speaking, higher dimensions are looking down at them. It's like, look, what are these fools doing? What are these kids doing? So that's the thing. Where is the value? That question surpasses any ideological system. So that's the thing. You listen to the satsang of your nature. That nature, I'm not joking, guys. I'm trying to be as straight up as I can. That nature, listening to that nature that is prior to a self in a character in a story, a character in a world, a self in a world. That inspiration will make you feel movement is here first before stillness, and then you become an advanced communicator, because in the mystical practice they simultaneously denied themselves something. Mystics deny themselves the realm. And I feel that there is a strange relationship. Sometimes I'm like, how am I aware of my memories? Sometimes it's strange for me. I'm like, how is the memory just here? How is it that I just in an instant I can remember, and it's always the same speed, instant, suddenly. It's as if, this is why in some of my talks I say, memories visit me. It's not necessarily that the memory is mine, it's just the memory that visits. And it's another way of saying that when you understand value, like, here's the thing. This is life on earth as an incarnated being. You think you're a cup and you're looking for a valve and you want the cup to be full. But when you realize it was never about the cup and it was never about the valve, and you come to a new moment where the unknown is alive, and then you navigate, then your mind gives itself inner authorization to resonate with rhythms, to be rhythmic. We are rhythmic creatures. Like, you might not believe it, but you know how there's a kind of music called soul? Literally, it's the connection of soul. It's a melody, it's a rhythm. Our consciousness appears in dynamism. So we are candles that our light is melting rhythmically. You know? That means the candle is melting and the light is eventually ending, not because the light can't be there. Because the candle finishes. So that's the thing. There was a time where I was like, what if the mind is not an object? And what if the mind is eternal? I was like, holy, holy. I was like, no way, no way, no way. Then I realized Lao Tzu is literally saying that is the way. Okay, so interesting question, Aziz. So guys, Aziz says, sorry, how can I be a great communicator? Well, I can say you came to the right place, because literally I'm that guy who created, just like, we are in the era of advanced communication. There's two things, Aziz, I would say you gotta realize. First, you gotta notice, what is your inner realm, what is your outer realm. Then the ripples of your inner realms need to settle, okay? As usually, if your physical body is turbulent, the ripples of your outer realms need to settle first. But when you're physically comfortable, then the ripples of your inner realms need to settle. And that means this is a phase, it's a preliminary stage before communicating anywhere, anything, in any art form, in anywhere. Okay? Seldom is this said, we're in a polymath universe. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. So Aziz, this is what I'm going to recommend to you. You asked, how can I be a great communicator? First of all, drop any idea you have of what it means to be a great communicator. Everybody is a different being. Everybody has a different DNA. First thing you need to realize, no one has your eyes. Because no one has your eyes, that means not even you or not even people know the value of your mind. Okay, nobody knows the value of your mind pretty much, including yourself, because a part of it is unknown. Okay, it's beyond conception or duality. So first, realize the value of your eyes. The value of your eyes. Just go in the mirror and look into your own eyes and be like, holy shit, nobody has those eyes except me. You know? So that's first. Acknowledge that you are here. Then I say the advanced communication is the advanced communication of the universal sector. So first, you got to realize how you are dressing yourself up through language as a creature. And once you become comfortable to see beyond that, then you can be, you go into a, I don't want to say you go into, but it's like, you start studying the self that only you can see. And after a while, you'll see there is something more than any belief system, and it's this presence of experience. That means it's the mystery of consciousness. It is the watcher of the meaning of the moment. And then here's the thing. The only way is that you have to win a series of battles in anything you want to achieve, in anything you want to attain advanced skill or mastery. You first have to wonder how all the eyes of living beings have looked at that. Do you know? So what I mean by that is you have to start with your own sincere question, a question that literally it's the calling of the art form from within you. Okay? Think of it this way. Right now, you hearing my voice is a communication from your outer realms. If you close your eyes, you're either going to notice some sort of internal dialogue or it's going to be an internal cinema. Okay, cinematic. It's going to be a film or whatever way your mind works. You have to study it, and then your own mind, your own intelligence and vision will fascinate you. And then you go into this vibe of trusting the moment, and then you wonder why you're trusting, and you reach a point where you ask yourself, if you had reached all your desires, what next? And then the unknown is right there in your face. And when you know your own value, and when you acknowledge the unknown, and when you acknowledge the value of your civilization, you see what the eyes of your civilization isn't seeing, and then, I don't know, your life moves forward. Pretty much two options. As you're living, you're either caring more for this life, or you're caring less for it. If you care more for it, in this plane of existence, good stuff happens. If you don't care for your own eyes, like imagine somebody comes and says, I mean, I'm not that chaotic, but I could totally imagine some people saying imagine somebody asking them what's truth, and then the guy's like, how dare you not ask your own eyes first? Let me tell you, the issue is you have to look at that every day happens once. I mean, really, remember the presence of your attention before personality, then you'll experientially trust life regardless of how it changes. And then the inspiration happens. That's how I feel. So I would say it's like, if maybe in this life, every person is different. For example, I'll give you an example. Like I was, at some point I thought it was my calling to go into mechanical engineering. And so that was a cliff I fell from. But it was as if the passion had to do with the ability, the inspiration had to do with the vision. I would say try to reinvent the wheel of all knowledge, and you'll definitely understand yourself as an advanced communicator. Just look at life. It's like a mystery, trying to see how your eyes look like. Like right now, this is a great question. I mean, I'm not even trying to be like Zen koan, or paradoxical. I'm just saying, can you see your eyes without looking in the mirror? You see, it doesn't make sense because your eyes are your sight. Do you see? The eyes are the sight. So I'm saying after some point, whatever relationship you have as an idea, it's just basking in a presence that after being unknown for a while, then moves in accordance to its own knowing. I would say go towards what's important for you, and you'll inevitably experientially become a great communicator. You see, it's all freedom. I'll share this story, guys. It's hilarious. Yeah. I think I was grade 10. I was attending my high school called Bayview Glen, and and guys, just sorry, my attention was everywhere. It was grade 10. I had to do this PowerPoint presentation on Dante's Inferno for this writing class. Okay, it was like this creative writing freestyle. I don't remember the exact name of the course. That's what I was kind of stalling to remember. But anyways, what happened was that I was an incredibly shy and silent person. That means I think I think a lot of people didn't know who I was, And what happened was I had this presentation. The teacher was sick, so the teacher had given a camera, and so I had to literally set up, and they just gave me the camera, and the substitute, whatever teacher, just gave me the camera box, and it's like set it up. It's like as if she had no idea, you know. So I'm setting up the teacher's camera and all this, and I set it up and awkwardly in front of like the whole class, Then I start this presentation. I remember I had this PowerPoint presentation, and it was like, you know how sometimes you can get stuck in yourself while doing something externally, you know? And I remember I would get nervous, and every time I would nervous, there was a bottle of water, but I had this sort of kind of humor aura around me, this humor vibe. So I remember in the middle of this Dante's Inferno, I was like the first gate of hell, or whatever, the first levels, the different 7 levels and whatnot. As I'm explaining the thing, suddenly I interrupt myself in the middle of the sentence, and I just get, I had a bottle of water, and I drank from it, and I would just go like, ah, and the class would endlessly just like laugh. Like I don't know how to tell you. There was something I was doing where I was using an absurdist distraction in the middle of something linear, which immensely can bring bursts of humor because of its deviation from norm expectation. So so anyways, whatever. I'm just trying to make this point that I was my own blockade. I was my own judgment. And I had this paralysis, but then my life changed from moments where I would be nervous, you know, and uh, from moments to actually not, like, some people are afraid of the stage. Some people can't wait to get on it, you know. It's something like that. It's like the more familiarity you have with something, the more embraced you are by that art form. So whatever in this life, if you right now just decide to read one essay of on astrophysics every day, like in a year, you'd be pretty much, even if you, let's say, the comprehension was whatever its speed. After a while of enduring, you have the experience is the skill. I don't know how to say it. So I don't know. Sometimes inspiration has felt like knowledge running toward marching into the unknown. Sometimes I have felt my own inspiration. It's been unknown. That means there's been times where I was like, I had a pen and I wrote a lot before I gave these talks, and I would start writing, and then I would close my eyes, and an event would occur behind my eyes, and the emotion would arise from my response to that inner event, and automatically the words were there. It was as if the mind saw an image and endlessly had access to a vocabulary. I don't know how to tell you. It's like really when we look at words. Guys, I'm happy to say I have new technology coming in soon. There's something, I don't know what it is. You gotta keep testing what you are to get feedback from it. So, Elon Musk was saying the most important thing in life is a feedback loop. And what a feedback loop is a mirror of your mind from its own awareness and observance of its experiences. Guys, Aziz is like, so Aziz in the chat section says, "How can I be a great communicator?" And I'm like, by realizing the world is great and you can communicate in it. And Aziz is like, there's like a smiley face laughing. It's like that was helpful. I don't know, man. You gotta realize you're alive once, and you gotta discover it from the independence of your own effort. That means you gotta feel yourself on an island as if there's no one who can help you, and attempt that kind of from the ultimate solitude and silence your journey into how language opens for you. You know. Yeah, guys. Completely different setup. I mean, it's Anyways, I want to get back to the talk. I keep treating this like Q&A. In the spirit of inspiration, I think what it is, I mean, in a secular way, inspiration is a push or a pull. It's a force, right? And I don't know, creativity is a force that it moves us from behind our eyes. And that's the thing, that I can envision weather. Like I could look outside and look at the weather, and then I could also wonder about tomorrow's weather while simultaneously experiencing the weather now. So I think there's something that many philosophers and poets and artists of the future and designers of the future generations, they have to in some sense come to this conclusion of the positioning of the human being, and what does it mean if we are multi-present? What if the multidimensionality is behind our eyes, but because what behind our eyes is seeing in front of it, the world is automatically multidimensional? So what does that mean? I think somebody should probably create a law here. The law of invisibility potentially being higher dimensions. Like, guys, how hilarious would it be if space wasn't empty, but it's just stuff moving at the speed of light and it just appears invisible to us? Imagine there's civilizations that are alive. Imagine the whole galaxy is populated with alien civilizations, but they are oscillating at such a fast speed. You find it's kind of like interviewing your soul. That's kind of like meditation, but you don't interview it through words. You watch your mind, your intelligence, and you don't do it too intentionally. Like, you got to realize this. It's not mysticism. You have to see it as a different room, right? So most people think they have to suddenly behave spiritually to be spiritual or whatever, you know? It's all about depth of vision. Only with the courage to no longer be a thought, an idea, or an individually conscious being will mysticism be authorized by the inner realms. Only when you are comfortable and have no issue with matter that the secrets of space automatically are left open. The whole moment has an intelligence, and what's in the moment has an intelligence in accordance to its relationship with how it first perceives the whole moment. So what does that mean? That means, imagine you're a parent and you have kids. You can ask about two things pretty much from any human being. You can ask about the self they see, and the world they see. And evolution was a movement of self beyond a certain way of acknowledgement of the world. So that means, Aziz, when you say, what is the way to, how do you become a great communicator? It really has to do with how aware you are life is moving before you are, and then communicating. And I remember hearing this story. Sorry, not a story, it's this quote. It says some people say something. No, some people speak because they have something to say, and some people speak because they just want to say something. And ever since I was acquainted with that quote, I realized that the importance of speech is when it's important it arrives. When there is something that is worth for the brush being held in your hand. When it's an action, it's an importance of an engagement, you know? And don't think this world, I feel that people are way more updated than the world. So they think the world just automatically knows. I think many human beings that whenever, like for example, let's say the way a person sees light and scientifically comprehends it, so many people may see it like photons, but there's some scientists saying it's like a wave. That means there are people who look at light and they think it's a particle, and there are some people who look at it and they perceive it as a wave. It's as if evolution is now reaching a point where we have so much freedom to change, where we're becoming the only thing we can be or left to be is the space for the matter that's moving it. Because how much can this biology evolve? I think our minds are not just an upgrade, a unique evolution compared to all the other animal species on this planet, but I feel our minds are a backup system to when we as creatures realize for how long can you be an immortal individual? After some point, the mind is the fascination. Do you see? There are many silent civilizations, guys. Like, it's very easy to just fathom and wonder about a universe so big that there's probably a civilization on some planet where they don't speak. Either nature is their language, their world is their language, existence has become a language for an experiencer beyond time. Who knows? But the greatest inspiration is to wonder. Really, it's when just like Socrates said, it's like after some point the unknown is bigger than the known. And everything you even know and come to know, it opens up dimensions. Experience is just endlessly stretching. Sometimes I've gone in nature and I've just sat down. I remember when I was a kid and we had this cottage in a place called Karaj. And I would go there and it was a river. And I would sit by that river and I would go there at times when I just felt like I wanted to be alone. And I would just go there and I would sit beside this river alone in this garden. And as I'm sitting there, I would notice everything happening in nature. Then I would notice my breath. And from noticing my breath, then there would come this content. It was as if a bliss finds you, then the inner authorization is there. So you will know you're doing the right thing when you will know it feels right. You know? So that's the thing. That we're not just like machines that you can just come and type some code and yay, the person's enlightened or wise. No, it's every person is living their life. I feel it's that we all have to attempt to reinvent the wheel, and only when we've realized how to reinvent it, then, no longer kind of I'm saying that we have to look at the design before the storytelling. And the design is separate and meaningless from the story. That means the same way somebody asks me, who are you? And imagine I say, Mr. Within. The same way someone can ask me, who are you? And I could not say anything. And both would be true. You see? It's presence. There's something in it. So anyways, guys, that's the end of the talk. If anybody has questions, or now it's the Q&A part, so now I can comfortably engage the chat section if anybody wants me to further analyze something. So that's technically the end of the talk, guys. Q&A is open. We are the effort of eons into now. We are the lions of our own eyes, and we are the gazelles of our own fear. I think life has a creative purpose, and I feel that creativity is alchemy with the unknown. And I feel anyone who truly understands the unknown, you become incredibly, you become a silent pillar for your civilization until the ethos of your civilization updates. That means anytime, imagine right now, guys, whoever's listening, somehow imagine in a sci-fi context, humanity was an advanced enlightened alien and they had a species, enlightened kind of species, imagine, and they had chosen you specifically to go back to a civilization similar to Earth, like how we are now, and try to update things. Imagine. You would enter an inefficient system and see logically something has to change for the inefficiency to change. So the thing is that when the person is, I don't know, I don't want to say, when life is static, feel free to go really fast. When life is really dynamic, going really fast, observe through the slow. Sometimes when I go into an environment, there was a time I didn't care, but then there came a time where I was like, I would notice the speed of how different people would speak and people's different speed of comfort. That means that's one thing we don't notice, right? Like so many people say, what did that person say? But they don't say how fast did that person say what they said. They don't care about the speed of things. And usually if you notice something's important, it's communicated fast. So I would say when you find an importance of something that only you have seen about your life, and that's the inspiration. You gotta after some point realize like who can the person wait for. So anyways, guys, if there's no questions, I can end in 5 minutes. If there's questions, we got 5 minutes. You know. You know, sometimes it's like if a person never tries something, they never get to see the potential of that dimension. And I've personally found that if we created an educational system that inspired the student to contribute their effort, that means the narrative has to be way more than school. That means imagine children, them going to just their typical school, or imagine them going to humanities lower bunkers in regards to solving the global problems. You know, then it would totally change. It's all about the picture we paint that the future generations enter into the world believing that picture is the only thing. So it's kind of like, imagine they just told like a generation of people to, tell their grandkids like good stories. And then their grandkids became good because they had no other story to react to. Imagine if it was that easy. Anyways, guys, so I guess there's no questions. That means everybody is their own answer. Much blessings and namaste.